Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is Austin here, bringing you game number 2 of the best of 7 series between WhiteRa and Stephano. And actually, I have a number of big contradictions to make. This matchup, this whole set, is not from IPL 3. I was misled because, of course, late last night I downloaded the replay, browsed the website just real quick, and when launching the replay, the loading screen, it said IPL 3 Origin, so it was immediately, okay, it's from IPL 3. But what I did not realize was that the replay was relatively recent from this month, and upon a late night Google search after having casted episode number 1 of game number 1 at least, I realized that it is actually was a fan-voted show match at the SXSW, which is the American Media Conference, I believe. And so it was fan-voted, and IPL was hosting this between these two players. And so I was a little mixed up as well because I had heard the names in IPL. I hadn't actually tuned into the full of each tournament, and I knew Stephano won one of them. So I almost kind of was assuming Stephano had won the series. I still have no idea, by the way. But then upon research, Stephano won IPL 3 and WhiteRa won IPL 2, so this actually intensifies the epicness of this matchup. Anyways, time to get into the replay. I hope that clears up some confusion. I realized that HD is also casting this set at the same time, so I was watching it and I was like, wait a minute, this is not from IPL 3, especially because he is an expert IPL caster. I believe he's employed by the IGN Pro League to cast some of their games. So as you may have known, if you tuned into the last game, we have our light pink Zerg player here at the top left of Antigua Shipyard up against the red Protoss player WhiteRa. And if you have not seen the first game, please do turn into it now. But for those who have seen it, as you know, WhiteRa pulled off an amazing Archon toilet. Another contradiction, by the way. There was no such patch that negated that amazing tactic. So I thought there was. I talked to some friends at school, and no, there never was. And so IPL 3 was not pre-patch or anything because there was no patch. I believe there was a delay added to the Archon toilet, so units are given a few seconds to move out. But since Broodlords are so very slow, they could not really move out of the way in time, and that is why they died. So I made a reference even that Mass Mutalisk would have been countered well by the Archon toilet. I did not realize that Broodlords as well could have been, especially because of their lack of speed. And one last thing, Pathogen Glands plus 25 starting energy to Infestors. I talked to my Zerg research expert buddy Zion, and he told me about that. I was so frustrated. I'm trying to get acquainted with my Zerg upgrades. Hopefully this series will allow me to do so. So nonetheless, we did have quite a fast pool there from Stephano. He's now expanding, but WhiteRa is again, he's going for this quick gateway here. I don't know if he's going to go for the Forge Fast Expo. Yes, he is, so probably going to see that Forge and Photon Cannon and multiple Photon Cannons usually quite soon. And so just, again, the fast expands on both players' parts. Probably going to try the long macro game. And before, I may not have said it, I did say the amazing Archon toilet. Of course, WhiteRa did come out on top of that game. Nonetheless, this should promise to be somewhat of a macro game. That's what the last game was. Both players just hunkered down, teched up, upgraded, researched, and it wound up quite exciting. Back and forth, unpredictable, and it was a great way to burst into the StarCraft 2 professional scene, and I was extremely happy with the outcome of the video. I got some 60 views in a couple of hours. I was so elated. I'm glad to be now exposed to the YouTube community in its fullest, as, of course, professional replays are going to be a lot more popular than amateur ones. Then we do just have this probe and 2 zealots moving in on a little bit of a ballsy harass here. The Zerglings are moving out to get the surround on the 2 zealots. They should be able to do so, forcing them back. They will be able to pick one off, and the other should fall. So that is actually an intimidating number of Zerglings here from Stephano, chasing after this one zealot. He is full health. He joined the party a little bit too late. You know, it's almost like a protest. Everybody runs in. They're so happy and gung-ho about it. And then when the police actually start tear-gassing them, the last ones to arrive kind of get out of there before they get the tear gas. That's what happened just here. So WhiteRa is frantically getting this Photon Cannon up. He should be able to hold if he can just pump out a couple of zealots. He does have one finished, and he now has the Cybernetics core, so the probe is going to try to move out. There are plenty of Zerglings here. A lot of them are at half health, though. They are going to chase this probe down, so WhiteRa is going to be able to stall the Zerglings. A couple of them deviate over to push into this base. Will the Photon Cannon finish in time? About 8 StarCraft 2 timing seconds, so Stephano's gonna try to move in there. Oh, no, he's not gonna be able to do anything with that Photon Cannon there now, so WhiteRa times it just perfectly, and that is really how professionals are separated from from amateurs. I would have lost that, personally. If with that many Zerglings, I would have lost. I just would not be able to time and place the photon cannon well enough, and I just would have, the game would have been my opponent's. And we do have metabolic boost here, again from Stephano, along with a third expand, so he's again moving into that crackling infestor play. Well, at least I do predict he goes for the early speed, and then infestors, gets all his upgrades on both, and some roaches as well, and then gets crack for the Zerglings late game, and just has a very powerful build with that. So metabolic boost just now finishing, and he will probably abuse these Zerglings, gonna run them into WhiteRa's natural mineral line. WhiteRa does have, again, the late warp gate tech and ground weapons level 1, so he's going to probably move again into that 6 gate, as we saw in the last game. He just has another pylon here, and now forced to pull all his probes off the line. Stephano will be able to hang on to one Zergling, so he did inflict some punishment. Only 3 gates so far for WhiteRa. Perhaps he's going to try a different strategy, but in the last game, he did go for 6 gates right off of that Forge Fast expand. So that, of course, means the very late warp gate tech, but it gives the Protoss player that essential second base and just allows him to transition into a macro game. So we do have 5 gates now, and most likely another on the way. This Zergling going to try to do some final damage on perhaps one unlucky probe, and he will be picked off. So plenty of harassment there from the Zerglings. There is going to be a Sentry, Evolution Chamber, Roach Warren, and Lair Tech now from Stephano. Plenty of drones. Let us see our income tab, 58 to 41 Harvester, so no real surprise there. It's always essential for the Zerg player to keep up. And there is missile attacks level 1. So in the last game, I don't know if that was cancelled or not, because I did say I thought I saw missile attacks in the production bar, and in retrospect I did. Stephano must have cancelled it or something of the sort. So here are some Speedwings running about, and apologize for that choppy moment there. As you know about my hard drive situation, not going to recount that once more. Should only be a couple weeks. The price has actually gone down, so it should not be very long before I get my famous 7200 RPM that I've been rumoring about for months. So we do have Glial Reconstitution. So Stephano is just so good at executing this crackling infestor play with roaches to support. And he's already got the 3 bases up, just a strong force. He gets his upgrade timings right spot on, and just has so many researches coming up. But WhiteRa at the same time is a great macro player against Stephano. In the last game, he kind of got lucky with the Archon Toilet. That definitely shifted the game around. But now Stephano does have an intimidating force, 111 population, and he will mobilize this. And I do not know if WhiteRa is going to be able to hold this off. He's going to run it to the Destructible Rocks, and I do not know if our Protoss player is going to get vision on this. He's actually pushing out on his own with Stalkers, Sentries, and Zealots, and so these Sentries are going to try to pop up some force fields against the Roaches. The Zerglings just leaking in there, though. They are kind of forced away by the Zealots, though, and now Stalkers warping in. These Roaches going to try to do some damage to the Sentries, and they do. Those Sentries are powerful caster units, but they have such low health, and now Stephano completely reinforcing here. He's going to have essential missile upgrades and Glial Reconstitution both landing real soon. He has 12 reinforcement Roaches on the way, and we just have that measly Robo there from WhiteRa. He's going to be trying to reinforce here, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to hold this one off. He does force Stephano back, but now Glial Reconstitution has finished. Those reinforcement Roaches are on their way. More to come. The Robo is only going to finish now, so I don't think any Immortals would be feasible here from WhiteRa. And I think it may well be Stephano's. He's just gone up on his opponent, 50 population. He's going to push into the main here, just one photon cannon to deal with the impending Roach force, and I really don't think that WhiteRa is going to be able to do too much. He's forced into his bases now, his 3 bases. He just does not have he has somewhat of an economy, he does, but this is such an intimidating and upgraded Roach force. 13 more on the way, 10 more Speedwings, and just let us just look at this massive Roach force. So powerful, so well upgraded, so well managed. So there will be an Immortal here from WhiteRa. Will probably rack up so many kills against these armored Roaches, which Immortals are just so excellent against, but he's not going to be able to take out all 20-some-odd Roaches, so that Immortal just pulled back. The Protoss forces stuck in their base, trying desperately to fight to the last man. Now these Speedwings, as I mentioned in the last game, so very good against Immortals. They will get the surround, and there should be a GG any minute here now from WhiteRa. This game is very well his opponent's. Now missile attacks level 2, GG WP from WhiteRa, and Stephano takes the game. And let us check our message log. Oh, no. Stephano did say GLA tough. I think it was a little delayed. I thought there was going to be a little more animosity than there was after the whole Archon toilet thing. I guess it is not that much looked down upon. Nonetheless, that is game 2 for you, ladies and gentlemen. Our series is now stuck at 1-1. Stephano taking this game with ease. Very well played on both parts. I will catch you in episode and game number 3. Actually, I'll just stop numbering the episodes, so I'll see you in game 3. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning in.